The sky over Voron Prime was a swirl of crimson and gold as the sun set behind the jagged mountains. Smoke rose in dark, curling towers from the outskirts of the capital, where the battle had torn the city apart. Kyle Drake, a human warrior far from Earth, landed his shuttle on a small plateau overlooking the chaos. His eyes scanned the ruined streets, and even from this height, he could see the panic in the streets, the fear in the alien faces running through debris-filled avenues. Kale's mission had been simple: observe, report, and protect the civilians caught in the crossfire. He was trained for war, but nothing had prepared him for the scale of destruction on Voron Prime. The Lorithians, his hosts for this mission, were an advanced species, their technology elegant and alien. Yet their world was crumbling around them because of an internal rebellion that had turned their capital into a battlefield. He adjusted his armor and activated his comm. "Team status report," he called, his voice steady despite the storm of chaos below. "Civilians are trapped in the lower sectors," one of his human allies responded. "The rebel faction is hitting them hard. Casualties are rising." Kale's jaw tightened. He had trained for these situations, but seeing real lives at risk always sharpened his focus. He turned back to the city and saw her, Princess Lyra, the young heir to the Lorithian throne, moving with her guards among the fleeing citizens. Her bioluminescent veins glowed faintly in the dimming light, a sign of her noble status, and yet there was something else. A determination that made Kale pause. She wasn't running like the others. She was guiding them, shielding them from harm. A sudden explosion shook the ground, throwing Kale forward. Dust filled his lungs and he coughed, wiping grime from his face. When the smoke cleared, he saw the princess's guards had fallen, casualties of a precise rebel attack. Lyra was exposed, a shimmering wound across her chest glowing faintly, a Lorithian indicator of critical injury. Without hesitation, Kale activated his shuttle's descent controls and landed near the princess. The rebels had not noticed him yet. The humans were few, and the Lorithians still underestimated his species. He sprinted through the rubble, pulling Lyra down behind a collapsed wall as gunfire rained down. "Stay with me," Kyle said firmly, kneeling beside her. Her breathing was shallow and her eyes fluttered. "I can't," she whispered, her voice weak, trembling. "The wound, it is too deep." Kyle shook his head. He had seen death enough to recognize it, and he refused to accept it now. "Not today, Princess. You're not leaving us like this." He scanned her chest, noting the strange wound that pulsed with alien energy. The Lorithian healing techniques required a blood match, one that only another Lorithian could provide. But her species was too rare, her people too few, and all nearby healers were either dead or cut off. Kyle's mind raced. He knew the risks. Lorithian physiology was different from human physiology, and blood transfusions between the species were considered impossible, often deadly. But he could not stand by and watch her die. His hands hovered over the alien device the rebels had left, a rudimentary field med kit. The human instincts for survival, courage, and sacrifice rose within him. "I'll try," he said quietly. "I don't know if it will work, but I can't let you die." Lyra's eyes widened. She struggled to speak, but her lips moved. "You cannot—" "Shh," Kale said gently. "I can, and I will. Just hold on." He carefully followed the procedure as best he could, adapting alien instructions with human intuition. When he inserted his blood into the ritual device, a flash of light filled the area. Kale shielded his eyes and the ground trembled. Lyra's chest glowed brighter, then dimmed as the pulsing wound stabilized. She gasped, then breathed fully again. Kale exhaled, relief washing over him. She was alive. Against all odds, human blood had kept her alive. But something strange happened. Lyra's eyes glimmered unnaturally, and her skin shimmered with an energy Kale had never seen. He felt it too, an invisible connection that hummed between them. "What is happening?" she whispered. "You're safe," Kyle said, helping her to her feet. "Whatever that is, it seems your body accepted it." Lyra's advisors arrived moments later, rushing to her side. Their expressions were a mixture of awe, fear, and suspicion. Human intervention, one whispered. Unthinkable. Kyle straightened, meeting their gaze. She's alive. That is all that matters. For the next several hours, Kyle stayed by Lyra's side as medics tended to her. Her strength returned. Slowly, and she began to notice small changes. Reflexes sharper than before, instincts faster, thoughts clearer. Kale watched quietly, sensing that the bond they shared was more than simple survival. It was as if her body had learned from his human resilience, her mind strengthened by the courage he had shown. By nightfall, the rebels had retreated, leaving the city in ruins but temporarily safe. Kale helped Lyra stand on the balcony of the palace. The city sprawled beneath them in shadows and smoke. "You saved me," Lyra said, her voice steady now, tinged with something like awe. I don't know how to repay you." Kale shook his head. "No repayment needed. Just survive. That's enough." Her eyes, bioluminescent in the moonlight, studied him. "I feel different, stronger, faster, clearer, and I see things I should not see." Kale frowned. "What kind of things?" Before she could answer, a tremor shook the ground. A vision flashed before her eyes. An enormous fleet of alien warships drawn by some unseen energy, heading toward Vorin Prime. Lyra gasped, gripping Kale's arm. "They're coming," she said, fear and realization in her voice. "They are coming for this planet. For me. For all of us." Kyle's gaze hardened. He had faced danger before, but this was unlike anything he had imagined. "Then we prepare," he said. "We won't let them win." Lyra nodded, her fear replaced by determination. "We will fight together," she said, "and we will not fail." As the city slept beneath the stars, Kale and Lyra stood side by side. They were different, alien and human, yet bound by something no one fully understood. In that moment, they both knew that their survival was only the beginning. A larger threat loomed, one that would test every skill, every instinct, and every ounce of courage they possessed. The bond between human and alien had been born in sacrifice, but it would soon be tested in ways neither could imagine. Kyle Drake, a simple human warrior, had changed the fate of a princess, a planet, and perhaps an entire galaxy. And as the first shadows of the approaching fleet touched the horizon, both of them felt it, the sense that what they had done together was no accident, that their connection was something far greater than either could have imagined. The story of survival, courage, and human resilience had just begun. The night was quiet, but the stars above seemed to shimmer with anticipation. Somewhere in the darkness, a new chapter of galactic history was about to be written, and the human warrior and the alien princess would be at its center. Kyle looked at Lyra, her face glowing softly in the moonlight. "We'll face it," he said simply. "Together." Lyra's smile was faint but determined. "Together," she echoed, and with that, the first part of their unbelievable journey came to a close, leaving the future uncertain but filled with the promise of courage, unity, and the unbreakable strength of humanity. The morning after the battle was calm, but only on the surface. Smoke still rose in thin streams from the ruins of Vorin Prime's capital, and the air smelled of ash and metal. The city was quiet, but Kale Drake could feel the tension in every corner. The rebels were scattered, but the threat was far from gone. Somewhere beyond the horizon, a greater danger was approaching, one that neither humans nor Lorithians had faced before. Kale walked beside Princess Lyra through the palace courtyard. Her bioluminescent veins glowed faintly, a soft light that reflected her recovery and the bond she now shared with him. "We need to prepare," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I can sense the enemy coming. Their energy, it's vast, different from anything I've felt before." Kale nodded, scanning the distant horizon. "Then we'll face it. We've survived worse, and together we can handle this." Lyra studied him for a moment, her eyes full of curiosity and admiration. "I don't understand it fully, but your presence, your blood, it changed me. I feel stronger, faster, clearer. I feel connected to you in ways I cannot explain." "You saved my life," Kyle said quietly. "Now we protect yours and your people." The Larithian council gathered soon after, their faces showing a mixture of awe and apprehension. Many had doubted humans from the start, seeing them as primitive and unworthy of trust, but Kale's actions had proven otherwise. His courage, quick thinking, and willingness to risk his life had saved the princess when no Larithian could. "We must strategize," Kyle said to the council. "The fleet approaching is massive. Conventional tactics alone will not work. We need adaptability, ingenuity, and the kind of unpredictability humans bring." One elder counselor frowned. "We have never needed humans to fight our wars. You ask us to trust someone who is foreign?" Kyle met the counselor's gaze evenly. "I'm not asking for blind trust. I'm asking for action. If we fail, your people and the princess will die. If we succeed, we survive together. That's the choice." Lyra stepped forward. "I trust him, and I know my connection to him will give us an advantage. We must act now." Reluctantly, the council agreed. Kale quickly organized a mixed force of humans and Larithian soldiers. Together they trained for hours, combining human improvisation with alien precision. Lyra's newfound abilities allowed her to coordinate troops like never before, predicting enemy movements and guiding units to positions that gave them the upper hand. By midday, the fleet appeared on the horizon, dark silhouettes against the bright sky. Their presence was overwhelming, each ship bristling with energy weapons and shields. The humans and Larithians stood together, a small but determined force. Kale's jaw tightened. This was what he had trained for, yet the scale of it was daunting. The first wave of attacks hit before they could even deploy their defenses. Energy beams streaked through the air, striking the ground with force that shook the earth. Soldiers dove for cover, explosions sending dirt and rubble flying. Kale moved with precision, using both human instinct and battlefield experience to guide his squad. "Form a perimeter," he shouted. "Use the terrain to our advantage." Lyra's eyes glowed as she projected a protective shield, a shimmering barrier that pulsed in response to her thoughts. Within it, the soldiers regrouped, and Kale noticed their confidence rising. Her strength, combined with his strategy, created a synergy neither species had ever seen. Hours passed in a blur of fire, movement, and rapid decisions. Kale led small strike teams through narrow canyons, ambushing enemy forces and sabotaging their ships. Lyra's bond with him allowed her to anticipate threats, guiding units with almost supernatural precision. Together, they became a force that the enemy could not predict, and slowly the tide of battle began to shift. During a critical moment, a massive warship descended toward their position, its energy cannons targeting the canyon where Kale's team was hiding. Kale assessed the situation quickly. "We need a distraction," he said, gripping a plasma launcher. "Lyra, can you project your shield to cover the ridge? It will confuse their targeting." Lyra nodded, her veins glowing brightly. A pulse of energy shot from her hands, bending the sensors of the enemy ship and creating a temporary blind spot. Kale's team moved with perfect timing, planting explosives along the ship's landing supports. When the charges detonated, the ship toppled, crashing into the canyon below with a deafening roar. The other enemy ships faltered, their formation broken. Kale's squad took advantage, striking with precision and improvisation. Lyra coordinated the Larithian forces from the ridge, her enhanced instincts guiding their attacks. The enemy fleet, massive and terrifying, began to crumble under the combined force of human courage and Larithian skill. As night fell, the battle reached its climax. Kale and Lyra stood together atop a hill, watching the remaining ships retreat or explode in fiery bursts. Soldiers cheered, their morale soaring after seeing the impossible achieved. Even the council, who had doubted humans, acknowledged Kale's crucial role in saving the planet. Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes filled with gratitude. "You've done more than I could have imagined. Not just for me, but for all of Vorin Prime. Humans. You are remarkable." Kale shook his head, smiling faintly. "I only did what anyone would do. Protecting life, standing up when it matters. That's human nature." She studied him closely. "Your courage, your spirit, it has changed everything. I can see it now. Not just in me, but in the people around us. You've reminded them what strength and unity mean." Kale looked out at the horizon, where the destroyed ships left a trail of smoke and light. "Sometimes it takes someone different to show what's possible. Today, humans and Larithians fought together. Tomorrow we can face anything." In the following days, Kale and Lyra worked closely with the council to rebuild the city and strengthen the defenses. He trained the Larithian soldiers in human tactics, showing them the value of adaptability and quick thinking. Lyra shared her knowledge of energy manipulation, helping humans understand alien technology. The bond between them grew stronger, a symbol of unity and cooperation that inspired the people of Voron Prime. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the horizon, Lyra approached Kale. Her glow was soft in the moonlight, and her expression was serene but thoughtful. "I never imagined that a human could change the fate of my world," she said quietly. Kale smiled. "Sometimes it takes an outsider to remind you of what's possible. You've shown me courage too, Princess. You've become stronger than anyone imagined." She extended her hand, a gesture of respect and friendship. "Then we face the future together. Whatever comes, we face it together." Kale grasped her hand firmly. "Together," he agreed. And as the moons cast their silver light over the recovering city, Voron Prime seemed at peace for the first time in decades. The bond between human and alien, born in sacrifice and tested in battle, had not only saved lives but had also begun a new era of cooperation, courage, and hope. Beyond the stars, unknown threats waited, but Kale and Lyra knew that with human courage and alien wisdom combined, there was nothing they could not overcome. Their journey had proven that bravery, unity, and selflessness could change the course of history. The story of a human warrior giving his blood to save an alien princess had begun as a simple act of compassion. Now it had grown into a tale of strategy, heroism, and the unbreakable strength of humanity. Kale Drake and Princess Lyra had forged a bond that would shape the future, not just for Voron Prime but for the galaxy itself. And as the stars glittered above, the human and the princess stood side by side, ready for whatever challenges awaited them. Their journey was far from over, but one thing was certain. Together, they could face anything. The impossible had been achieved, the unbelievable had become reality, and the legacy of human courage had been written among the stars.